Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane Bellante. Do you struggle using watercolor in your mixed media art? Today I am going to show you a really easy and unbelievably cool technique to create backgrounds with watercolors in your art journal and beyond. So stay tuned. So I am starting by spraying down my little watercolor cakes, and I have my stencil masks laid out how I think I kind of want them. So I'm going to remove them and I'm going to begin to prep my background paper. I'm using these two watercolor palettes from Prima. I will make sure that these are linked in the description below. And so as you can see, I am spraying this. Now this is a journal specifically for mixed media, so it can take really wet applications of anything. So, and then as you saw, I dipped my brush in water to make sure that it was wet. And what I'm going to do here is just apply these colors. What I love about these palettes is that they are all coordinating. So you really cannot go wrong. And so I am just kind of going back and forth from color to color and beginning to lay down some watercolor. Okay, so you saw me spray the page again. I really want these masks to stick to the background. They're not gonna be perfect, okay? So just, you know, if you're using masks, you can use regular stencils, whatever you wanna use, but just know that they may not completely stick. This method is meant to be really loose and flowy, so don't even worry about that. I'm just using my fingers to press it down as best I can, and then I am going to lay down the other masks that I have chosen. So I did notice my masks and stencils are always dirty, so I'm getting some other colors on that, and I generally just look at that as like happy accident. I'm bringing in some more depth, some more tone, and I don't worry about it. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to add more color on the top, and see here in the right hand corner, I've noticed that I'm just really spreading that sort of like dark blue color, so I just mop it off a little bit, and then I continue on. So you're just adding more color, and it's really loose. And so again, just explore your way through the color. You've already got color down, so that it's like a base, right? And so when you actually peel these masks or your stencil off, you're going to see that color underneath it. So we can add as many layers as we want. And remember that this is watercolor, so it does reactivate with anything wet, right? So you can keep really pushing your color, adding more color, taking away color, and really just playing and having fun. I'm grabbing that second palette now because I really want some of these really bright pinks to pop. And so I'm just mixing between the two palettes. It's very, very wet. I do keep dipping my brush into water. You can see that I'm spraying it. And then at the end here, what I'm going to do is really, really spray it so that these watercolors feel more flowy, and you're not going to see any of the brush strokes. So you can see right here how wet this is, and that's amazing. And so what you need to do now is you need to let these dry completely, and then we'll pull them off and see the magic. Okay, so these look pretty dry, so I am going to begin pulling them off, and I'm already loving what I see underneath this. And you can see some of that other color that was left on the mask, which is fine. So now I pull this off and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not dry yet. So I'm taking a little towel and just wiping off the mask, and I am going to just put it back on. And I can kind of see the outline exactly where it goes. So if this happens to you, it's no big deal. It's watercolor. You actually could take water and just smooth out everything underneath and it would be fine. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if that's happening everywhere. And so I gently pull this one back and I'm like, yep, that's still wet. So I need to let this dry a little bit longer. Okay, so I actually left for a couple of hours and let this dry, and I'm pulling it off. And I'm not necessarily satisfied with the results of these, thicker masks. So you see, I'm like, I think I'm gonna put these back on, because you can always add more color and let it dry again. So that's what I'm going to do. So I am adding more color, and what I actually decide to do is, you can actually let this sit again and dry again, but because I'm just kind of swiping it over these masks, I actually decide to, so I'm giving it a little bit of a spray, and because I want these watercolors to just really, really flow and be loose. And so I actually decide to pull the mask off right away and work with it while it's wet. So you can do, it's really kind of the sky's the limit here. You can do whatever you want. You could sit and let this dry again and then pull them off after it's dry, or you can pull it off right away. So now I'm just adding color. I'm noticing that even though I put a base layer of watercolor down, it looks like the mask, when I pulled it up, pulled that color off. And so I'm just gonna add a little bit of color into those areas. And again, I just really kind of play and explore my way through this. And really, that is it. Now remember that when you go to add layers on this, that these are watercolors, so they will reactivate with anything wet. But you can also seal it with like a matte medium and a spatula, let it dry, and then you can layer on top of it as much as you want. So stay tuned in my shorts, because I will show you where I take this spread. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful. Please join me on Monday for Mixed Media Monday for another amazing and fun mixed media tutorial. On Wednesdays, please join me for my podcast called Your Limitless Life, where I help you really get rid of your limiting beliefs so that you can create the life, art, and creative business that you've always dreamed of. I have special guests and amazing tips and tricks for your creative business. I'm excited to be part of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Art Journal. This is Debbie from Elsie Lane Art Garage, Kristen Calhoun from She Paints, and of course, Lynn from Ellen J. Goods. I'll link all of their information in the notes below. You can also watch the Sisterhood of the Traveling Art Journal playlist, which is in my channel.